Hey everyone, welcome to the Planispheres section of the DIY Fest that Clark Planetarium is doing. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Cynthia. We're so excited today to talk to you a little bit about constellations and about these planispheres that are also known as star wheels. So the star wheels and these, or planispheres, I think we're just going to call them planispheres.
Yeah, that's what they are, the planisphere.
The planispheres help you find and locate different constellations and stars within the night sky. So there's a couple really cool constellations that are up right now in the summer.
So when we think about the night sky, we need to remember it goes from east to west across the horizon. And one of the easiest ways to find all of these stars is looking at the zenith of the sky, which will mean going from the eastmost point to the westmost point and just going across there. And the star that we're going to see going across that zenith this month is Vegas, and that is in the Lyra constellation. And once you find that, you'll be able to piece together the summer triangle and see all the constellations associated with that, which are pretty cool constellations.
Another fun fact about the summer triangle is that it's not actually a constellation technically. It's what's called an asterism. So since it's made up of all these different constellations, so it's Cygnus, it's Lyra, and it's Aquila are the three constellations that make up the summer triangle. They are part of their own constellations, so the summer triangle is called an asterism, denoting that it's not one of, there's 88 official constellations that the International Astronomical Union dictated. So it's just kind of one that's easy to find, but it's not official, if you will.
And something fun about these constellations is that they have changed throughout time and across cultures. So if you were to look up constellations in Japan and constellations in Africa and constellations in Iceland, you're always going to see a different thing, but we've been using the stars to tell stories for millennia. So every culture is going to have some cool little tidbits and facts and stories that they keep in the sky.
Exactly.
It's really fun.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the summer triangle is that those three constellations used to all be birds.
Yeah.
So Cygnus is a swan, Aquila is an eagle, and Lyra is some unknown bird, right?
They thought might be an eagle, might not. It's got a little lost in translation. I haven't found anything definitive, but they used to be three birds, which was really cool. But Lyra actually is now a lyre, which, if you recall, that's a harp-like instrument that the Greeks used. And it comes from the myth of Ophelius. And Ophelius, if you can recall, the love of his life died, and he was a very prominent musician. And he borrowed a lyre from, I believe it was Hercules?
Yes.
And he made a deal with Hades, the god of the underworld, that if he could play a song all the way up, he walked all the way down to hell, and he asked Hades, can I get my love back? I'll do anything. And he said, if you can play a song and not look back, you can have your love back. She'll follow you, but you can't look back. And he made it out of the underworld, and he was so excited, and he turned around, and it was too early, and he lost the love of his life. But that is
sad.
Tragic in the classic Greek tradition. But that's what the lyre is from, and it's actually made up of a lot of different stars. Vegas is the fifth brightest one in our sky. It also has Zeta, Delta, Epsilon, Chiliac, and Solifat. And Chiliac and Solifat are Arabic and Persian words that mean tortoise, and that's because tortoise shells used to be made into lyres. So that's...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a couple really, not just a couple, there's a lot of really cool stories that go along with most of the constellations in the sky. Most of them are based off of Greek mythology, but there's a couple odd bells in there. They're really fun to research. You can do your own, or there's a lot of great apps out there, a lot of great websites to find constellations and the stories about them. And once you know those stories and the shape, it's a lot more exciting and fun to go out and see them in the night sky, and they can help you tell stories to the people you're with, or even navigate. You're like, oh, I know that Vega's supposed to be directly above me, or it's in the east, and go that way. But we're gonna build our planisphere now as a tool to help you find those constellations and be able to take it out and explore the constellations with it. So this is a fancy one that Maddie made. It's nice and thick.
What's fun about planispheres is that they're dependent on the date and the time. So if you look here, this is 5 o'clock, this is midnight, and this is 7 a.m. And so you take on this outer wheel, there's all the dates. So if I wanted August, what is that, about 17 on midnight? August 17th at midnight, the sky will look exactly like this, with this being the northern horizon, this being the southern horizon, and the western and the eastern horizon. So right across here will be the zenith of the sky.
Which is just the highest point directly overhead and at the cardinal points east and west.
So as the night goes on, you'll actually see the wheel shift. Or it'll go back, if you want to go see how it looks earlier, you can just throw it back earlier and be like, what will it look like at 10? And the answer is about that.
So it's kind of a time machine, really. You can see what the sky's going to look like either in the future or in the past based
you
on...
want to look up your birthday at midnight.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, so it's really helpful to kind of like get yourself oriented. To use it, you just have to line up those cardinal points that you have on each of the sides of that little viewing window. So if you're looking north, you hold it so north is pointing down, and then you're going to just hold it right above your head because that's going to put it kind of on the same plane as the actual constellations.
Yeah, you almost imagine this as a giant dome.
Yeah.
Because it is. The sky's a giant dome.
Yeah, and come check out our dome theater to see it in person. You can also go outside. So to make your star wheel or your Planisphere, you're going to start with just 2 templates like this. This is going to be the holder, and this is going to be the actual wheel that has the constellations, the stars, and then your date and time just the date on this side of the wheel. You can also see on the wheel part of it, there's different sized circles to denote the stars. The bigger the circle, the brighter that star is going to be, and the easier it'll be to find in the actual night sky.
And we should have provided that for you. Just follow the links and you'll get it. But once you have it, go ahead and cut it out like those 2 pieces right there.
And it's really important to make sure to cut this viewing window just right so it's going to fit your holder, fit your sphere.
And we actually like to put our holders on manila folder or cardstock, anything that has a bit more weight, just to reinforce it.
Yeah, and if you do that, make sure you have a little gap to where you're just going to fold it in half. So if you have your template like this, you're going to fold this bottom point up to the middle of the viewing window like this.
And they mark that line on it pretty clearly.
Yeah, and you'll just want to keep that gap just so it's easier to fold and your layers don't get all funky. But once you do that, you can add your wheel in the middle, just in the pocket. We use staples. You can also try tape or even glue. I don't know if glue, it might be a little messy with glue.
If you keep one of these little brackets in it, you might not need anything.
That's true. So you take one of these brass fasteners and you pin it through both the wheel and that top point of the holder to keep the wheel in place, and then that helps you as you rotate it, just keep it in place a little better and not lose your wheel.
And these wheels spin a lot better than the clunky one I made.
But once you have it all assembled and it's dark enough outside, it gets dark about 9 these days, you can go ahead and take it outside, find what time you're going outside, what date, and then get it all set up, and then take it out and hold it right above your head. And I hope you enjoy finding constellations. You can always come into the Planetarium if you have questions about stars, about constellations, or check us out on our social media pages. We're happy to answer questions there as well.
Yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.